Thank you first for inviting me. It's actually good. I'm not sure if it's like a regular thing for everyone. It's my first time. And right away, just trying to sense the group right now. I don't want to talk too much about AI because I feel there's so many experts in the room. And then Raj just gave me the mic right away for the first question. Anyway, that's actually a very quick. So the question is, sorry.
Sure. Why don't I shift it a little bit? Regardless of technology, it's interesting. Regardless of the relevant technologies, how is the industry shifting and revolutionizing?
So it's very hard to answer that question because, as you know, like everyone is operating in terms of, and we're all businessmen here. We're trying to basically react to whatever's happening through media, all the hype, right? So it's kind of like a knee-jerk. The first year to second year, first time you hear about it, everybody has that knee-jerk reaction. I have to do something about it without even know how to do AI at the very start. And I really saw the evolution because we started very early trying to help. Of course, it started as machine learning for everyone, training. Everyone was trying to create their own models, thinking without being first in the large language models. And then ChatGPT kind of cracked the code in terms of like having that simplest product to give everybody's hands right to interact with the AI. And everyone saw the hype of ChatGPT when it first launched, ChatGPT 4.0. And everybody was racing, trying to make something competitive about it. So I don't want to make it too long, but for me, the first phase was really all about, and to be honest, was the hype. Everyone was selling that hype, and everyone was buying the hype. Even though the use case was not there, systems were not ready, IT departments didn't know what they were looking at or didn't understand the product. So everybody wasn't ready, but everybody wanted it. So that was the first phase. And then the second phase was a lot of people got burned, one way or another. Like, got burned in terms of like, so many R&D and then they got left behind with regular work. Everybody was trying to do the R&D, was trying to figure out AI. And then before they knew it, some of their competitors who were not doing AI was leaving them behind because they got distracted. That's one. Last one, and then the last one would be, it was, because of hype, some of the products were a little bit higher compared to the raw materials of what they were. The next challenge after that was people eventually got burned. So I'm not sure which stages, because we really tried to adopt very, very early, so we learned a lot at the start. I can honestly say that we're not even there yet in terms of maximum productivity. The thing that I can tell right now is that we can maybe at this point just sense what is, sorry for my word, but this is a fireside chat. What's kind of like BS now in the market, and what's good for us, what we can do, like building it from the ground up, then eventually just really trying to incorporate really strong pieces into the entire business process.
Yeah, I love what you said. I think in terms of the hype cycle we've been going through, it actually gives me a lot of flashbacks to 1998 when I was in London and they had the .com, and then actually 2007. Actually 2007 marks a moment that I think has a lot of similarities to what we've seen here. Anyone remember what happened in 2007? What product was launched? Yeah, it was a product that was launched. The iPhone. The iPhone was launched, and at that same time you saw the convergence of a number of different technologies, Wi-Fi, 3G come together, and that created an opportunity for us to reimagine how we engage customers. I think we're in a similar moment where you had predictive analytics, which is AI, which has been around for some time, generative AI, and then the hardware layer, NVIDIA, enabling us to now bring those capabilities together and reimagine what's possible. In terms of what's that mean for businesses, if I think about how I've applied that and thought about that in my own team, I remember 2 years ago at an offsite with my team, I said, you know, we've entered the era, well, at one stage machines were created to do what people couldn't do. I think we're now in the era where people will do what machines can't do. And I think that's the moment we're at now in terms of individually, collectively, as a team, we have to think about what does that mean for us moving forward. So part of that is going through some failed experiments. I think your point is very valid. There's been a lot of failed attempts, but I think without those, you won't work out what you need to do in order to be successful. So I'm actually really excited about where we're at on the journey, but I'm also looking forward to hearing from our esteemed panel, but also you guys in terms of what you guys are thinking about and how you're tackling this topic. So I'd like to hand over to you now.
Yeah, I'd like to poke the bear a little bit. Okay.
Sounds fun.
So let me ask a couple of questions. How many of you rode on horses to come to this event?
Horses?
Yeah? Horses. Anyone who rode a horse to come there? No?
Horseback.
Let's wait for someone.
So the way I look at it, since you asked about BPOs, we are riding horses today. Right? And that's what people used to do, you know. Use both cars and horses and animals to move around 100, 150 years ago. What has happened is none of you use it today. Everyone either flew there, drove a car. Guess what? It's not that humans stopped traveling because of advances in technology. What has happened instead is you're going to places that your great-granddad never imagined before, unless he was part of World War II, right? So you really have to think about it. So that's my view. It's not about the fear of jobs or what's going to happen. The jobs of tomorrow are things we don't even imagine today. And I don't think anyone has a crystal ball to say what that's going to be. Just that I know inherently, if humans are better than anyone else, any other animal, than anything, it's about adopting, adapting, and running forward. And that's what we've shown over the last centuries, if you think what we've done. So, I mean, I do want to challenge you guys. I really think, there are some organizations who started scratching the surface, but that's the peak. You know, what you're going to see over the next 10 years is a massive, massive change. And that's what I'm excited about. You know, just one thing I would like to add is, at Filipinos, as Filipinos at the world stage, we've been more of order takers. We've been waiting for people to give us business. I would challenge you to take this disruptive moment as a challenge to say how many of you sitting out of Manila can be the global organizations of tomorrow. Can you be the Fortune 100 organization of tomorrow sitting in this same city? So that's what technology can enable. That's what I'm excited about.
Thank you for that, Rajneesh. Actually, you exactly do. So that the rest of this panel, we can understand where you're coming from as you answer different questions. The same questions, but answered differently.
I got it. So the question is, what's my background?
What's your background? What do you do? So that we understand.
I think I need a script again about Anyway,
Just quickly.
before I answer that question, I just want to know who's in the BPO industry here? BPO, okay. Customer support, like a traditional contact center customer support. BPO. Yeah, okay, BPO. And then for the rest, maybe solutions. Some are in, I forgot, like the lady a while ago gave me an introduction about who's seated in every table. So our background, we've been very fortunate to be in the collections industry of the Philippines. At that time, so we've been in that industry for the last almost 20 years already, 18 years, close to 20 years. And then, as what was mentioned a while ago, it was we started with 4 agents way back. Everything was manual back then. Manual, like really, really crazy manual. I did a presentation about that before. Everything was done by. So, is anyone gonna do a TikTok dance?
You're reminiscing. That's why there's music.
We lost the mic.
So, this is what you can do when there's technical difficulties.
Dance.
Hello? Yeah, okay. Good. Alright, so we started with 4 agents in a very small office. Everything was manual back then. Pen, paper, no computers. Not because Philippines doesn't have any computers. It's just we can't afford them. So the industry operated, even the banks knew that the agency, because it was a very low margin, not really well thought of industry at the very start. So everything was given with a bunch of papers. I'm not sure if you guys even started with that kind of business process. So imagine we get like 5,000 endorsements. We call them endorsements. Those 5,000, you have to print them one by one for every customer. Then we have to spread it out to different agents, and they have to make phone calls and then write it on the paper what happened. So those were like the disposition, the status. So every time there's an audit, they're looking for the paper, and then on the paper, they have to check if there's anything written on it. Because if there's nothing written in it, definitely the agent didn't work on the account. So imagine that's like the reality that we came in. Everybody knew contact centers way back. Like even when we started 2008, contact center was really a big thing already. And when you look at, like the big ones, you see everything's like highly digitized, computer, all the like very early analytics already. But for us, like that was the most that we can do. So imagine the transformation from how we were seeing it, and then we need to convince the banks that computer was a better direction. And it was a struggle for us, even for them, and this is like actually a lesson of adoption for the market. It was even harder for them to adopt our system because I knew right away that technology has to be the right direction. Technology, like we need to be technology first, because without technology, there's no competitive advantage. So we tried as much as possible with whatever money that we were making, we tried to buy as fast as possible to make everything, like to put computers, then eventually interconnect everyone via LAN. It was not LAN before. Then eventually we need to do asterisk IP telephony. Then eventually, when we were big enough, we need to transfer to enterprise solutions. So we were like always doing it from open source solutions. We need to figure out how to do open source, how to make it work, until eventually we were able to scale it up to enterprise level. But the biggest takeaway here would be, during that time, the banks were not adopting, and this is a lesson of adoption for the market. They were not adopting for one simple reason. They were already used to the same system of doing paper and pen audit for everybody else. Why would they change their system just for us? Even though, if you look back, history would say we did the right thing for the industry, right? But they don't want to do it because it's just going to create more work for everybody that doesn't exist. So I feel it's also same with AI. The biggest change wouldn't be the promise of technology. It's basically people just want to live their happy 8 to 5 lives, go to their kids, play golf, like Alex, and do a lot of personal things in their life. So that's my point of view. So we're in collections, 3,000 now, and we're all over the Philippines. We do tele-collections, field collections, digital collections. So from hardcore manual to digital and to cutting-edge collections solutions.
Thank you, Ian. That is indeed a journey that probably gave you an insight to all of the things done wrong or decided wrong by a certain.
I'll come at it from outside the BPO space because obviously I'm not operating there. But I think something that was said earlier, I can't remember which gentleman mentioned it, but I think there is a real opportunity in the Philippines to move from order-taking mode to being a strategic advisor. You guys have built up subject matter expertise in your given areas. Understanding that and being able to leverage that is going to be a core value add that you can provide your customers in the different industries. Because if I think about the BPOs I work with today, and we've got one that springs to mind that Robert and I work with, they challenge us. They force us to think about how we can drive innovation within our business. And between Robert and I, we've got a lot of years of experience. But I think it's refreshing to have someone from outside the business come in and actually say, hey guys, you might want to rethink how you're approaching this. So that also means being not just at the forefront and understanding how you organize your people and the strategies that drive that business, but it's also understanding the role of technology in that and how that can drive transformation. So I think being at the front end and pioneering and how you can incorporate the technologies into your service offerings is really critical. So I don't know if that sets the tone for you guys to build on.
So actually the question is very interesting, and I'd like to answer it as Filipino because among the panelists here, and I think I'm the only Filipino guy here. So here's the thing, like the thing about having an AI discussion and think about the future. So it comes into play whenever we talk about AI, right? The question of extinction and survival becomes part of the conversation, which is actually weird. Because before, when we were like, before the AI hype, everyone was talking about cryptocurrency, blockchain, and no one was saying like, you're gonna lose your job because of blockchain. Oh, the NFT will take over and no one will be a customer support network because of NFTs, right? But when AI came into play, half of the conversation is not about technology, half of the conversation is about philosophy. And it's actually a very good exercise for me and for the team, because most of the time, it's highly philosophical in nature when you think about AI and how to use it. The most that we do is ChatGPT, but when you open social media, everyone's saying like the future end of humanity, extinction, blah blah blah, or universal basic income. So there's like so many fantasies that come into play. So I'd like to answer it first as a Filipino, and if you don't mind, lately, if everyone has been following the news, right? I'll just say it here. Are we live? So if we're not, I'll just say it right away. Right now, it kind of feels, it sucks feeling like we're a Filipino, right? It sucks because of how we're seeing how everything is unfolding in our government, right? So, and we've been used to that kind of feeling for so long. And I'm not a young Filipino, I'm somewhere in the middle of my life already. So, when I look at the entire country, and then right off the bat, you're thinking, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, you're always thinking of big and ambitious things. But at the same time, you're also limited about your background, your history. And that's the thing about the starting point of a Filipino. And now, shifting to the BPO industry, and sorry if I'll digress a little bit. So this is an interesting one, so bear with me a little bit. So one time, we did a bus tour around Spain. So we did at Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. We just went on a road trip by bus. And it was amazing to see, like miles and miles, hundreds of miles of non-stop olive trees that you see all over Spain, even as far as Morocco. Then you'd be thinking non-stop, like, the hell with what's going on with these olive trees here? It's like non-stop olive trees from like 100 miles of travel of non-stop olive trees, and you'd be thinking like, what are they doing with these olive trees, right? And then I'd be thinking like, as an entrepreneur, what can I do with these olive trees? Maybe there's an opportunity here that I'm not seeing. I might be an olive tree guy that I don't know about. So all of a sudden it's started to run in my head. And obviously that's just something as a businessman that always comes up, right? When AI comes up, you just keep telling yourself, there's a hype, maybe I can make money out of this. But anyway, what's the point of that olive tree? What's the version, so I thought to myself, what's the version of something for Filipinos as an olive tree? And of course, I thought of all the plants that we have. But in reality, no matter whatever plant that I think of, food or fruit, it's not global enough to beat the world leaders in terms of olive tree and olive oil, olive whatever, for Spain, selling it to the world. I can't think of any olive whatever here in the Philippines to counter that, because they've been doing that for maybe hundreds and hundreds or thousands of years. So going back here to the Philippines, as an entrepreneur again, I'm so grateful and fortunate again to realize that Philippines has been building, compounding a BPO industry for the last 30 years. which already has like 1.5 to 2 million workforce, and that 2 million workforce is standing on so much complex BPO infrastructure already. So my point is, with the advent of AI, I'm seeing the future, for me personally, I'm seeing the future of, and we've been really very deep in the trenches in terms of figuring out if AI can talk and AI can chat, what can the Filipino do that the AI can't, right? And then you'd be saying, they'd be the people behind the AI. Yeah, but the Indians can do that. The Pakistanis can do that. A lot of countries right now can speak English compared to 20 years back. So what can we do that they can't? So if you combine the BPO plus another world-class service that we do, which is hospitality care, you combine the two, it becomes empathy as a service for the AI doing compliance. So I'm seeing the direction of doing QA as a service, QA behind the AI. So two parts. Whenever you have a world-class AI servicing the market, there's a strong QA of Filipinos prompting it that's highly aligned to empathy. So both QA, prompting, and QA, but both aligned for empathy, which are the two strong traits of Filipino. So going back, I see the future and I really agree with you, but we need to get our acts together to really take advantage of this industry, because I do believe the most powerful AI in the future would be supported and served by humans behind it. And I hope, and my wish would be, those are Filipinos doing high empathy alignment, and a lot of QA alignment behind it with, going back to the Filipino heart, servicing the industry. So even though we're not talking anymore, we're not chatting anymore, you still feel the heart of that AI because Filipinos are the ones serving behind it.
That give me some time to think, right? So that was strategic on my part to let you and him answer first. Because your question got me thinking on two fronts. One, I think the problem is we need to get rid of the word BPO. The answer lies in the question. If our number one industry is going to be outsourcing, we have never been part of the industry at all. Right? So I think the recommendation could be, since we're connected, tell the BFAPs and the CFAPs, eradicate the word outsourcing. Because till you think that someone's outsourcing the work for you, you're never part of the business. You're at the low end of the value chain. So stop. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing is, this is something like, I was lucky my first job was at GE. And I started going back, I'll date myself for all of you, 25 years almost. Why did we start moving the jobs from US, Europe, over to India? And the reason was not labor arbitrage only. The first jobs that we started moving were the ones where in Europe there were 24 accountants, one in each country. One guy sitting in Delhi could do the jobs of 24 people in Europe. Right? So it was not just about labor arbitrage. In GE, we were never treated with a thought that I am outsourcing the work from GE America or GE US or GE Australia to GE India. We were part of GE. So when I was the digitization head, I was digitizing work across the world. When I was a Six Sigma Master Black Belt, I was changing processes across the world, not just within the 4 walls of my concept. And if you can change the lens, you will achieve a lot. So, I mean, with clients, always what I used to do when I was a part of the BPO industry is didn't matter who the client was, right? We would commit on day one, we will do the job way better than any of your employees can do. That's a guarantee. And we would put financial risk on top of it. So whether it was a Microsoft or a Google or a bank or whoever it was, minimum 30 to 40% improvement in 18 to 24 months. Flat out. we didn't want customers to ever think that they were outsourcing work to us. It's a big mindset shift is what I would recommend the first thing, right? And then everything else will follow. Because if you reduce the handle time, even by 50%, you know what, you're focusing on the wrong things. The clients that do the most with us were where we eliminated the costs in the first place. So what if our revenues just vanished? The client was so happy, they gave us more business. It was not about reducing handling time or ACW or things like that. It was about, I'm just going to eliminate. I'm going to solve the problem at source. And that may eliminate my entire business, but that's fine. Right? And that's the way we always do with clients, which is why even when I left the organization 6 years ago, almost 30% of our global revenue was outcome-based. That means I can have 10,000 people working for a customer, my monthly invoice would be zero. Right? Because the outcomes are customer revenue, not my revenue. Customer resolution, not my resolution. How much money are you making? So I think those are big shifts that can help you leapfrog. Because I remember this was in, I don't know whether it was BPAP or NASCAR, one of the sessions, where I made this comment, and then my panelists were shocked to hear 30%, because the next highest in the industry was less than 2%. So that's what I would like to recommend as a parent, because I have a 15-year-old daughter. You know, my wife and I discuss often, what should she study so that AI, you know, and just be natural, just create. So we're very happy she writes better poems than I've ever written in my life. She draws better, she creates stuff better. You know, because creativity and playing music, you know, I really think whatever happens with technology, if you have an aptitude that I can take whatever's given and create something new, you will never lose. Right? And that's how I would recommend we start thinking to move ahead. And that's what I literally meant by saying, don't be order takers, don't be outsourcers, be the business, and life will change.
So this is, once again, this is how do you upskill? How do you make sure that the points that the two of you have made actually happens?
Yeah, so for us, so I'll just go back to the fundamentals. And to answer your question earlier, right now, and going back to philosophy, everyone's saying AI, right? And I really don't know why are we using the word AI? Maybe for simplicity for everyone. But when we talk about AI, everyone has different imagination about AI. One from Terminator, right? Skynet, it knows everyone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the way to a point that Arnold Schwarzenegger can kill everyone, and then later the last part of the trilogy maybe, he was able to feel some emotion, which was weird. He was able to make some connection with the kid. So that was like our imagination of AI. And then so many movies that we all watched in different generations, seeing all these AI movies. And right now, ChatGPT came out, LLM, and they just placed a very strong label on it as an AI. Now everyone is confused. What does an AI do? Can it? And then we just reference it back to all the movies that it's just going to be more human than us. So AI, AGI, ASI, and then they're saying like 6 months from now we will have an AGI model. Then it will be replacing everyone's job. If AI is really that powerful, think about it, then ChatGPT, OpenAI shouldn't be selling it. They should be having millions and millions of workers replacing all of us. But that's not true. For it to be useful, they have to sell it. And then we have to find value in it for it to have value. So right now, we're attaching the word AI of a super sentient something, on that table, but in reality, it's just another automation tool. For those who have been very long in the industry, right, and all the hype cycles and all the products that came out, we all know it's another AI tool. But the word AI, basically, it's easier to sell it now, having an AI on something. Going back to the, sorry, I forgot the question.
Upskilling, like how do you
Yeah,
make
upskilling.
sure we're-
So now, upskilling. At the start of our AI journey, we were like, I was in the same mindset of it's going to replace me, it's going to replace you, it's going to replace everyone. So in a way, I was like highly motivated in doing it because I was thinking, oh, if it's going to replace everyone, look at my margins. My margins going to be through the roof. Because we have like all the work that we can do with no workforce to pay any salaries, no liabilities in terms of hiring human workforce. So imagine all that promise. So everybody, I was really intentional in using it, hopefully to lower down my cost. But being very deep in the trenches, one thing I realized, it's not about AI. It's about HI, human intelligence. We use this tool to make our people more intelligent, which is true. With everyone doing ChatGPT, we're all very smart, right? You can make that perfect composition now. Right? All our texts are perfect, all our emails are perfect. You don't need to hire top-tier kids now, top-tier university graduates to make this perfect email composition. Before, we even have like, this is the team leader that we have, but can compose well through email, so we need another one to recompose whatever the thought was because it would be informal to send it to the banks. But right now, that's not existent anymore, so everyone became intelligent. So if we follow that direction, the future is about making everyone intelligent, not really replacing people. So right now, I kind of remove all the mindset of replacing people. It's about empowering people. How do you put the best tools right now on everyone's hands and make them super intelligent, hyper intelligent? So it's not AI for me anymore. It's HR, human intelligence.
I really love what you had to say there. AI plus HI equals business transformation. I love formulas. I want to create something out of that. So really appreciate that. If I think about our journey at Twilio, both how we use technology and AI within our products, but more importantly, how we're looking at it from a business transformation internally, and observing also customers we're working with. I think where you went there in was going on, I think the wrong starting point, which we learn through experience, isn't to start with how do I use AI to replace people. It's actually how do I bring AI into the mix to actually enable them to be more effective and to drive change. And I think that's the right starting point now. Now we're where we are through those first year and a half of learning what works, what doesn't work. And that's what I'm starting to see, both in how our leadership is approaching using AI. We're looking at it as a complementary to the humans in the human in the loop type process, and I think that's where we're at now. I don't know if you want to build on that, Rajesh.
Yeah, I mean, we have some phrases that we used to joke around. So the only thing that we're scared of more than artificial intelligence is natural stupidity. Okay, so that's really what it is, right? If you think about why are we scared about AI, we were doing the math, just mental math in one of our other conversations. 2 million employees, let's say, in the Philippines, in the BPO space. Or let's start saying BP, business process management space. I should not use BP. So about 1.6 million probably frontline people, you would think, rough math. What do we teach them? We teach them to look at a knowledge base and literally follow the decision tree. So for the last 20 years, what we have tried to do is make humans machines. Right? You don't want them to use their own brains to solve business problems. You want to get consistency. And what you've done is you created decision trees and knowledge bases, and that's what training does. Teaches you how to use a knowledge base. Right? Of course, any quantum machine that's been more powerful can read the same knowledge base and give a phenomenal response. So I mean, I don't think we should be surprised when the work done today likely will not happen, will not need to be taken care of by machines tomorrow, right? And it's already happening. I don't know how many of you used it. Last month you were in Canada, walked into an Airbnb, didn't know what to do with this fancy oven, picked up ChatGPT, hey, can you tell me how to use this machine? Normally you would call someone. Guess what? All I'm doing is pointing, and the response I get is, this is a model, blah, 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 from this machine, what do you want to do? And here's what I want to do. And this is what you do. Finish, 30 seconds, my job is done. Right? That's what we teach agents to do. Right? So that part, let's not kid ourselves, is going to go. Right? What we have to do is think about humans doing jobs of humans once again. Right? I love math at school. For me, I don't see AI anything more than neural networks. And the reason they become so prominent today is because of the quantum speed. That's it. For me, that is it. It's just a math problem.
Agree. So you heard two terms of neural network and quantum speed. Do you want me to laymanize that in plain English? Okay, I'll go like this. And this is what I started 2 years ago. AI is not new, but before we were called statistics. Then when ChatGPT happened, now we're all called algorithms. And now we're all afraid. Is it the same thing? Yes, same thing. So AI is very simply at this point, really just a practice, is trained best practices of humans done in lightning speed. Is that correct? There you go. So we do have, I got a note that says 15 minutes, but I'm going to try to make sure that I get a lot out of this. We've already said that the Philippines need to take this time to grab this technology by the horns. We understand that we have the capacity to upskill ourselves to be the best at this particular segment. So now, in this particular segment, when we've upskilled and we grab ourselves by the horn, the customers, they are very adamant demand people. Obviously, they want best service, they want fast service, they want efficiency, and they want things cheap. Now, one of the things that you will see when you look around what AI envisions is the opposite of cheap. It's actually very expensive. And you see news saying companies have spent so much money on AI and yielded not only nothing, but worse than nothing. They had to clean up, right? But that's one of the things that Rajneesh was saying and Ian was saying. You don't know what you want. That's what happens when this shiny little thing looks like something that you want to just adapt. One of the things that is great right now is it's no longer SaaS, but agents as a service. And the best practices that have these people who you've seen already adapted to the particular technology have put in place. So what have we now in place that makes us capable of telling these companies, don't build ground up. Learn from our experience. We have fast, efficient service. We are actually affordable so that we can break this stigma of AI not being a good call.
I'll let you take it.
So I can talk about other experiences. When the old models, LLM models had come up, what we did is, we are early adopters, and so I picked up models from different places. I had a 30+ member team. Asked them to start using co-pilots, blah, 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 assuming they know how to use it, right? First lesson, you really need to shift the mental map of people, because most of the folk, it's not the same as doing what people are doing. You have to redesign what the work is. Don't say that this is what I do today, I'm just going to get an LLM and move forward. So redesign the concept of work at an LLM level. That's one. Most of the projects fail for two reasons. Number one is bad data. I referred to this earlier. We've been working with organizations that have Salesforce, Zoho, HubSpot, anything. You can have SAP, Oracle, any kind of stuff, right? And there's enough and more industries which try throwing out I do want to classify that when I've spoken to CXOs, while they say that they have tried to implement GenAI, it's been a really bad thought process or zero thought process. All they have done is bought a few LLM licenses and asked the people to try. That's not enterprise deployment. What we have learned, what we have successfully been able to do, is re-engineer the work, re-engineer the data pipelines, and then go ahead and use AI in an enterprise way, which is why we were able to deliver successful projects. So you have to rethink what you mean by work and who is doing that work if you want successful enterprise deployment. And that's what we are trying to do. Work with clients, help them deploy and not waste time. Right? The only other point I would say is we spoke to at least 100 plus CXOs of mid to very large organizations. Everyone was doing projects, everyone had projects. I used to ask two questions. How much money are you going to make next quarter because of the deployments? Right? No one had a single answer. That means people didn't try to deploy it, they were just trying to play around. And that's a big difference between an enterprise project versus POCs. Don't approach using LLMs like a POC. There's a huge difference between successful POCs and successful enterprise projects.
I love what you had to say there, and you made me think of a few things, and I'll try to bring them all together succinctly. So the bad data, couldn't agree more, that will be one of the biggest hurdles you need to overcome. Made me also think of Gartner's term dark data. They coined that a while back. I love it. That really is ultimately one of the biggest challenges we have. What is dark data? Dark data is all that data that's trapped in all those different systems, which tends to then sit in organizational silos. So that's your next big hurdle. How do you break those silos down? If I think about the transformational changes I've been part of and that have been successful, have seen cross-functional teams coming together, and that is absolute must in the age of AI. I'm going to give you a free bit of consulting. I'm not going to charge a penny on this. It's a formula that I've lived and operated by. Came out of the BPO sector, because again, back to an earlier reference, couldn't agree more. The people in this room who are in the BPO sector need to challenge their customers and ultimately advise their customers on how to best drive transformational change in their industries. I think you referenced that earlier. A good way to do that is to force them to think about actually using the Steve Jobs quote, start with a customer experience and work back to the technology. How can you do that? Formula, free of charge, not going to charge you a cent. OP plus NT equals EOP. OP plus NT equals EOP. Now my fellow Twillians that are here with me now have heard me use this before. Old process plus new technology equals expensive old process. Honestly, have that printed on the wall somewhere, use it as a touchstone. If you keep that front and center and use that Steve Jobs quote, start with a customer, then the employee, because that's the other component we often forget. How do we enable that employee to serve that customer well? How do we give them the technology capabilities that will enable them to answer the question that's being asked succinctly and in a way that creates utility? What processes do we need to reimagine and redesign in order, and this is where you guys in this room can help drive that conversation when you're working with your clients, and then what technologies can you use, such as Twilio, to help you deliver that against that. So OP plus NT equals EOP, keep that in mind.
I'm actually lost between the two highly technical and good advices. So I need a question again. I kind of forgot it from the first time I asked it for Raj, but I really pick up what they said. I just want to be sure I'm more aligned to the question.
Yeah, so after knowing that we're to take this opportunity and then we're upskilling, how
Industry, it's a confusion space, basically. No cure, no pay. Simplest way of saying it, if you don't know how to hunt, you don't eat, right? So you should know, it's not as simple as like throwing spears and eventually you're gonna get rewarded for it. So we grew from that mindset, like everything should be outcome based. And that's the biggest struggle in terms of like putting a lot of faith and vision in terms of all the R&D and technology that we're working on, because it's not cheap, right? So many times we try to figure out like what's the next best technology for the industry, but at the same time we don't want to burn our margins because we live like day to day at that time. Like the next paycheck was needed for the payroll of the last month. So it was that crucial. Until now, and just to, I don't know, maybe brag a little bit, SP Madrid going to 3,000, we have 0 investors and 0 debt. Until now, 0 and 0. And the main reason we were able to pull that off, I believe, in using technology as the strongest leverage in terms of maximizing resources. Because without technology, the same, let's say, human labor would be producing the same output. But with technology, if you're like highly capable in terms of infusing technology, you can easily 100x, 1000x the value of that resource, whatever that resource is. And right off the bat, when we started, it was very strong for us that we need to use technology earlier than everybody else, stronger than everybody else. So it became our mindset. Now, shifting, going back to AI, right now it's actually, in all honesty, the cost of AI is not simply consuming the model. The cost of AI are the people running AI, because you have to believe that there's a better future of using this technology or not. And it's not like you pay for someone doing AI and then you have an ROI the next month. It's not going to pay for itself. We have an AI project that has been running for 1.5 years already, and I haven't seen any ROI. And every day I talk to the devs, I talk to the engineers. Do we go to the route of plugging already enterprise solutions behind it? There's no point. We don't have any customers yet. We're still figuring it out. Still figuring out from your point, from the customer experience point of view. If I don't see any delight in it, and then if I show it to someone and there's no delight in it, what's the point of scaling something that no one finds any value of? So again, for me, the cost of AI is basically like, for me, like spending on tools, spending on devs, and making it part of the R&D, not making it part of ROI. Because at this point, everything changed so fast. The AI everyone was talking about 6 months ago was totally different now. You remember the 6 fingers, 7 fingers, they're all gone. All the models before, there was no API integration. Now they can do API, and then after API, there's another one that can do this better than that one. Nano banana, and then seed that. Everyone's like, there's a
By the day.
war happening on top, and you're down here trying to avoid roadkill, being roadkill by these big giants dancing on top of you, right? So we're just trying to figure it out the same as everybody else. So again, it goes back to, I mean, the funny thing about technology, it goes back to P&L, right? Profit and loss. And maybe my last share for that is, I do believe, like working with AI, as simple as ChatGPT, the most powerful thing that our workforce, our leaders and managers, that when they're working on AI, you can't instruct AI to set an intention, right? You just can't open ChatGPT and you just wait. So you saw that one TikTok video, like, how can I be rich? It's asking ChatGPT, how can I be rich? No ROI, no investment, easy ROI, low investment. So it's asking all these questions, and of course it's not going to give any of the answer for him to be rich. But the point is, whenever I open ChatGPT, and all of our leaders, whenever they open ChatGPT, as simple as that, it starts with the intention. And the clear intention of anyone who's in business is how to make money. And ChatGPT can give you that specific intention of how to make money. So how to make money is like so many roads, so many zigzag from having an idea to creating an entire workflow, incorporating AI, and generating a revenue out of it. And hopefully there's a profit because of all the investments. But at the end of the day, someone has to have that strong intention how to make money, how to be better, how to improve processes. It's as simple as starting from that, and everything manifests if the leaders have the right intention.
Well, thank you. We definitely have a lot of food for thought. I do need to wrap up, but we have a big networking time later on. I'm going to challenge the panel, though, but very, very quickly. There's a very quick challenge. Last thoughts including your favorite use case for AI, can be BPO or anything relevant, but no explanation. So the explanation could be during networking later or literally sought for food because the food just arrived.
Oh, that's a good one. Have you guys got a thought on this already? Or
No, I'm still thinking, writing your weekly,
I mean,
Time.
huh?
writing your weekly email.
That was literally the first thing that came in. Actually, it's a great question. In order for you to drive transformation in your business with AI, you have to be using AI yourself. How can you challenge your teams to actually think about how they're going to use AI if you aren't? So yes, actually starting with simple use cases in your own profession, weekly email, testing and learning, drafting emails. I honestly think if I think about how I've evolved over the last 2 years, it started with simple tasks like that then led me to think about what else could I do, what else could my team do. So I think actually using a tool is actually going to be a critical component. So for me, starting with simple communications was a starting point for me. Over to you.
I know I'm more talking time later, so I'll keep this really short. We've been talking only about BPOs. More than half the projects we're doing leveraging generative AI is actually manufacturing, logistics as well, and supply chain. So I'm not going to stay stuck to the BPO. I think the favorite use case for me is I have had a Tesla for 6 years. When I bought a Tesla, of course, energy is my family bring in sustainable, usually, right? And we watch literally and read everything that we want to leave the earth in a better state. So I got a Tesla. But as an engineer, the reason I got it was, here's the CEO talking about 2 years, it'll drive on its own, right? 6 years down the line, right? And I've driven all across the US, more than 100,000 miles. I can safely say 99% of the driving that I do is full self-driving. Absolutely. I just put the address, click, it drives me, and I do things I will not talk about. Okay. So that's a use case. Why did I give that? Right? Number one, organizations are trying to sell you a lot of stuff, right? From the makers of LLMs. Personal experience, most of what is sold as available right now doesn't work like that. Number one, so don't believe everything. Second, there were tens of thousands of technology companies before. Today, there are 0 technology services company. Everyone's become a Gen AI company all of a sudden, right? I can tell you most people don't know what to do about it, right? So the snake oil sales, right? Be patient, have a vision. I like challenging. Have a 3 to 5 year vision of what you want to be as an organization, and that has to be path breaking. It cannot be just a small part. Number one. Number two, have quarterly goals. Number three, data. You have to have a very streamlined data pipeline, and we do have products that do that now, so I can say with confidence, yes, it is possible. Because if your data is shit, you put AI on top of it. I tell my customers, all you get is more shit faster. So don't fall for that, right? Clean up your process, clean up your data, use it every day, be patient, set quarterly goals, fail fast. That's another one. It's okay to fail every day. The only way kids learn to walk is by falling down, right? And that's the stage I really think organizations are. And I've shared some demos of live products where we've learned in the last 18 months.
For us, that has been very helpful. Early on, we used so it was fun. We were using an AI model that basically someone would just take a 2-minute video of myself and then have that. So there's an AI media team that does nothing but AI media. So it captures a video of me talking like for 2 minutes. So I do different poses so he can recycle different AI clone of myself. And then we use that anywhere from onboarding employees, training them. So it's my face
anywhere from training, onboarding, all the way to major announcements. And why is that very important? Because without AI before, you need multiple different leaders to be the face of the company for different levels. And of course, you can't be omnipotent before because you can't show your face with a different message for different groups. So we're running 3,000 people, almost 20 branches in Dubai, Singapore, and very massively here in the Philippines. And I find so much value in putting my face and someone cloning that face. And it really looks like me, talks like me, no one can tell. But the most important for me is the imprinting stage. You know the imprinting, like you have a duckling, you're the first person it sees, right? So you become the mother. So I feel I find so much value in putting my face right away at the onboarding stages of an employee's life cycle career. And that's like one of the better and most enjoyable part of how, like the fun side of the game. Not everything's about evidence, or like also the media side.
Thank you for that. So again, one of the things that a lot of things that we got out of this panel, right? Like where is the Philippines at? What can we champion ourselves is how do we upskill and what are the favorite use case? I'd like to ask, through all of that, does anyone have any questions or would you like to ask anything that would put them further or challenge them further to answer their different backgrounds? Anyone?
You're all eating already.
Oh yeah. Well, with that, I'd like to thank the audience, and of course, I'd like to acknowledge Rick and Ascent. Thank you for bringing us here and bringing everyone together. I'd like to say that this particular crowd, although you have no questions, were very receptive, and you were nodding and quite participating in the panel discussion. We have more in store for us this afternoon as we enjoy our food. But first and foremost, thank you very much to my panelists. My name is Kat, and I hope you enjoyed this session.
Thank you. Before you head off to your seats to head back to